Hey, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your main man, Coach Eric Schwafel, coming at you with another episode of Unlocking Excellence. So, y'all, we are moving right along. Today is March 29th, I believe. Yes, March 29th. And there are a lot of things that are changing in the country and around the world right now. A lot of different things are changing and moving. And today I want to give you a couple of different strategies to help out with that. So without further ado, episode number 20, How to Remain Aware, is coming right at you. So, ladies and gentlemen, right now, if you haven't been paying attention to the news, if you've been on some type of meditation retreat or just, plain old had your head in the sand, you know that right now there's something affecting the entire globe. The coronavirus is affecting the entire globe right now. And when the news first hit, everybody went crazy and was getting all this toilet paper and getting all this Lysol and all these cleaning products. And it was like, they were preparing for the end of the world. And rightfully so, right? Fear-mongering and panic and the herd mentality and people being sheep, they're going to do exactly what the other people do, right? Most of the time, if you are out on a farm and you watch sheep being herd and gathered up by the sheepdog, what one sheep does, another sheep will do, and they'll follow just because that's happening. If you can even socially experiment with this is what sociology, the classes in college and the study of people, sociology is all about. It's about seeing what behaviors and patterns people do in certain situations when they're provided with a certain stimulus. So some of the things that this virus is bringing up globally is fear, is panic, is overwhelm, it's frustration. There's worry, there's anger, there's denial. There's a lot of blame going around right now. There's a lot of selfish motives happening right now. And I would even say to a point, there's people taking advantage of other people, even if they might not need to, or if they don't have to. Now, I was one of those people for sure. I was super overwhelmed. I got frustrated. I was all over the place. I was sticking my head down the rabbit hole for long periods of time and not coming up for any air too. So when you see some of the things and you read some of the things, not only in the rabbit hole, but just watching the news and reading the news, if you really don't protect yourself, if you really don't set up boundaries, it's going to affect your mental state. It's going to affect your emotional state. It's going to affect your identity, right? How is it going to affect your identity? It's going to allow you to really become concrete on certain issues that you might have. It's going to cause you to defend certain stances and beliefs that you have. Everybody has their own opinion, and everybody wants their opinion to be heard and validated. That doesn't necessarily mean that other people want to do that for them, but in most cases, that's what people want. They want to be heard, they want to be validated, and they want to be told they're right. We can look at all sorts of different situations. The COVID-19 virus is just really bringing them out. And it's really allowing people to show themselves as they truly are, to show where they operate from and how they can move forward or how they can stay stuck, right? One of my big things, I don't know if you knew this about me, but I was in counseling. I went to see a counselor. I was in therapy for over 3 years. Maybe I ended it about 4 or 5 years ago now. But I was in therapy for 3 years, every week for 3 years. Sometimes we would, of course, not go in for holidays and whatnot, but I would go. And what my counselor taught me was, one, to control what you can control, to rely on a higher power. And then 3, to do my best to regulate my emotions. And to regulate my emotions, that took a lot of awareness, that took a lot of vigilance, it took discipline, and it took a lot of neutrality. So right now, the way that this world and country and people tend to operate is in the dualistic set of standards, set of frame of mind, where there's good and bad, there's light and dark, there's evil, and that's ultimately very true, right? We have to have the contrast, we have to have this balance here in this world. So with that, there's this polarizing effect that you have to be on either extreme, and you have to pick a side. And especially when new information comes forth, and there's a new stimulus like the COVID, and there's this new thing that's just this giant rock in a very quiet pool, meaning if you throw a big rock in a pool, there's going to be a big splash, there's going to be a lot of disruption. And that's what this thing is right now. It's like 100 people jumped into a pool like a cannonball all at once. Water's going all over the place. People are screaming crazy because of all of the waves. The water hasn't settled back down yet. So since the water hasn't settled back down, everybody's thinking, oh, we got to do something. We got to move. We have to react. And sometimes that's not always the case. Sometimes when the water is going back and forth and the waves are hitting and things are kind of chaotic, really that's one of the best times to be still. So this morning I actually thought, and I saw a book that I really recommend to you. It's called Connected to Goodness by David Meltzer. You can actually hit him up on Instagram. You can hit him up on Facebook, and he will send you books for free. You don't even have to pay shipping and handling. I got a bunch of books for my clients and for my groups, and Dave sent them right over to me. And one thing that Dave says in this book, Connected to Goodness, he says that everybody has an ego, right? And we all know this. We all have egos. But one of the things that he says is that ego wants to be hurt, offended, abused. That ego is looking for opportunities to prove itself right. And that ego is looking for opportunities to validate itself. And right now, everybody's ego is going crazy. Everybody's ego is saying, I'm right, you're wrong. I know better than you. My morals and beliefs are amazing, which means that yours are not. I'm going to shut you down. I'm going to make you not feel good anymore. And that's the end of that. That's what our ego likes to do. And there's the other side of it where our ego says, I can't believe you would think that way. I can't believe you would say that to me. I can't believe. The other side of the ego removes itself from reality. And the side we first spoke on is the one that tries to dominate it. So if we were to play this out, what's the worst thing that can happen on either side? The ego either is complete victim, and it allows itself to just constantly remove itself from reality by, I can't believe this happened. I can't believe that happened. What about this? What about that? And playing victim. And the other part is it just dominates the crap out of everybody else because this is the way that it's going to be. It's my way or the highway, essentially, right? And if you look how this plays out, both of them can play out in not necessarily healthy ways, but both of them play out in advantageous ways to the person, right? Either one of them get what they want no matter what. It just depends on what really they want. And being in that spot, being on both ends of the spectrum, one thing that I've noticed is I don't really enjoy either of them. I don't like when I remove myself from reality, and I don't like when I'm completely dominating the crap out of somebody. And those are experiences that you got to go through, right? So what is the stance that I'm promoting and encouraging here? It's really that neutral stance, and it's being able to see both people's sides. And if there are more people, being able to see all their sides, being able to see every angle, and being willing to understand every angle, and being open to the perspective that might challenge yours. because the ego will not allow you to remain open, and the ego will not allow you to take in new information that challenges you, that might prove that you're wrong, because it doesn't want to be wrong. So what I encourage you is to live within that neutral means. That doesn't mean that you don't slide from one way and slide to the other, but try to stay as neutral as you can, because neutrality means balance, right? So try to stay as neutral as what you can. Look for your facts and make your decisions for yourself. Don't get upset. Try not to react, because when you react, that means ego's right in control. Ego has taken over because ego says, you hurt me, now I need to protect myself, either by hurting you back or by showing you how terribly mean you are to me, which is victim or domination, right? There's this personality test that I mentioned a couple of podcasts ago. I can't believe we're already on number 19 or number 20 here. And what it mentioned, what it mentioned was the personality test of the Myers-Briggs. And one of the last letters, part of the Myers-Briggs, there's introvert, extrovert, there's intuitive, and there is sensor, there's thinker, and there's feeler, and there is judger and perceiver. And what I'm urging you to do is be a bit more of a perceiver in this case than a judger. Meaning judges take information in, and once they feel like they have enough information, once they think they have enough information, they make their decision. Whereas perceivers, they're usually a lot like feelers. Once they feel like they have enough information, they'll wait just a moment and they'll look for just a bit more. So with that being said, I encourage you to get all the information, see every angle before you make a decision and a judgment, and then you cast that judgment on other people, right? And you say, if somebody isn't acting this way, then they're X, Y, and Z. Well, that's pretty judgmental. That's pretty strict, and that's very much not keeping that open, neutral mindset. It's a operating from an either this or that, rather than maybe it can be a both and. So with that being said, how can we move forward in this? I would say you need to remain aware, AWARE. You need to acknowledge the way that you're feeling, right? Acknowledge the way that you feel through this. Is it anger? Is it sadness? Is it depression? Is it overwhelm? Is it lack of connection? What is it that you're feeling, right? Acknowledge it. Is it because of this person, because of that person? Dive deep into it and acknowledge what you're feeling fully. Allow yourself to just, I really love the word absorbed. Be absorbed, but through this acknowledgement. It's not going to hurt you, right? You're revealing certain things to yourself that you've been hiding for so long. You've been lying to yourself, and now you're telling yourself the truth. And just witness it. Try not to judge it, okay? Try not to categorize it. Just witness it. If you were to see, if you're a parent, imagine you're a parent, or even imagine if you're a pet owner, and you see your kid or you see your dog, they're crying, they're hurting, something's wrong. Are you going to yell at your kid? Are you going to yell at your dog for crying? Some might, but is that necessarily healthy? No, you're going to check on them. You're going to see how they're doing. You're going to ask questions to gather information. You're not going to automatically assume something, right? So witness, notice what you're feeling, notice what you're thinking, notice what you're thinking about what you're thinking, notice what you're feeling about what you're feeling. And then from there, accept it. Fully, earnestly accept it. You might not like what you hear, you might not like what you feel, you might not like what you think, but that doesn't mean that you can't accept it. That doesn't mean that you can't say, although I don't, despite not liking the way that I feel, I'm going to feel it because that's what I need to feel in order to move forward, right? And then after you accept it, repeat. Okay, now what I mean by repeat is repeat the solution that you brainstorm. Accept it, brainstorm, and repeat that solution. One solution that I love is anytime you have a negative thought, you address that negative thought with a positive thought, right? So like, oh, I'm not good enough. And then if I catch that, I'm going to say, you know what? I am good enough. And I'm going to list the reasons why I'm good enough. And you just keep repeating that over and over because it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get it down the first time, right? We're humans. We got to practice. You might not have gotten riding your bike down the first time or playing sports the first time being the best. Might have taken you a little bit of practice. This is going to do the same thing. And last but not least is, of course, always expect the best, y'all. Always, always, always expect the best. Make sure that when you do expect the best, you aren't just expecting the best because you don't want to expect the worst, but you actually believe what you're doing is going to bring you the result that you want. And that's a big difference maker, is knowing and believing that it's going to make a difference. Because if you expect the worst, you're going to get the worst. All it takes is a mustard seed, and that is that tiny. All it takes is a mustard seed of faith for something to work. And all it takes is a mustard seed of doubt for it to not. So with that being said, remain aware, do your best to remain neutral, and remember what your ego is there to do. It's there to protect you. It's there to make sure that you stay alive. And it's there to make sure that you are feeling that you're preserved, And it will take somebody down, or it will victimize itself in order to get what it wants. So remain aware of where you're operating from. Is it from victim? Is it from a victim consciousness? Is it from a creator consciousness? Where are you operating from, and how are you using that to benefit you and those around you and contribute to those around you right now? It's a good question, right? I love you. And if you enjoyed this podcast, then please go ahead, subscribe, leave a comment, leave me some feedback. You can send me an email at eric@schwefelstrength, SCHWEFEL, schwefelstrength.com. I will make sure to keep these coming, and I want you to know, I want to remind you that you, my friend, are unstoppable. And of course, I love you. Have a great day. Peace.